your father.
I figured you always knew.
You figured correctly.
I was 11 when I shot him.
He was wielding a shotgun.
Yeah.
It was self-defense. He was incarcerated in Folsom State Prison, paroled in 1996, after serving 5 years of a 7-year sentence.
You found him?
Yes. I found him. He died in 1998. Auto accident.
Hospital admin asked me for my next of kin. Who should I put down?
With Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. This is the You Better Believe We've Earned Some Nice Weather edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at Inforum.com on a 9th day of May, 2023. Just sitting here ready to rock and roll on a busy Tuesday. Lots happening, lots to get to. Good stuff going on here. You know, I was seeing last night, we had high school baseball, softball, soccer going on last night, which par for the course now because everybody's going to have to play about 8 games in a week to make up for not playing anything at the end of March and all of April, but so be it. And as I look at my calendar here, we're sitting now, what is it, I think a week out from region tournaments starting because that's how it works with the schedule. Because we're 2 weeks out, I know, from state track. And then after that, basically, the spring sports season in North Dakota is over. But they're at least playing, which, as we joked about a month ago at this time, we didn't know if we were going to have any spring sports. So I'm glad at least they're seeing out there and playing. We got a fun show coming up for you today. We're going to run the gamut of things, especially for you Northsiders. This is a red letter time. We talked about this, well, almost 2 months ago when Fargo North brought home the State A basketball championship on the boys' side, that the level of athletes they had would raise some eyebrows. And it has on not just the football field and on the basketball court, which we'll get into in just a little bit. We are a couple days out from one of the bigger days, and this is so silly, I think, to some, of the sports calendar. It is the NFL schedule release day, which comes out on Thursday. And I understand we literally can sit here and I could tell you already who the Vikings are playing this season. We already know all 17 of their games. So there's no surprises. The only part that's intriguing about this is when they play them and what time they play. That's it. But yet it has become a monstrous day for those of us that follow the National Football League. And for those sports TV nerds like myself, this is actually a pretty cool deal. We're going to dive into it a little bit later on in the show because for people that are used to watching the Vikings, whatever team, a certain way, it is definitely going to be different this year because the new NFL TV contract goes into effect here for this football season that was signed a couple years ago. And there are some definite new parts of it that might confuse some people. So we're going to get into that coming up later on in the show. The first leaks of it will come tomorrow because, again, this is how they do this. It's hilarious to me that they now, each of the morning shows, the news morning shows, get their little schedule release. So tomorrow, I believe the international games are going to come out and the Amazon game that'll be on Black Friday. Remember, that's a thing this year, will come out. And then proceeding the rest of the week, on Thursday, there'll be some more on each of the shows, from Fox and Friends to Good Morning America to the Today Show. Everybody's going to get their slice of the pie. So that's coming up. And we'll dive into that before we say goodbye. Let's start our show with the highlights of the night, and we'll begin it. I mentioned it on What to Watch before we said goodbye yesterday. The Lakers and Warriors game last night was a dandy. If you didn't stay up for it, you missed a heck of a basketball game, which the Warriors built actually a 12-point lead. The Lakers respond there with Anthony Davis to tie it, and then Lonnie Walker IV took over. And if you don't know who Lonnie Walker is, you're not alone, because he became a overnight superstar there, the steal and the bucket. Jump shot good here. We're tied at 96. Klay Thompson, corner three, gives Golden State a 99-96 lead. Now it's 99-98. And why wouldn't Walker be the guy? Not LeBron James, not Anthony Davis, but Walker, who gives the Lakers a 100-99 lead. The place is going crazy last night. By the way, our guy D'Lo on the bench, who said he wasn't used properly in Minnesota. Curry with a shot there that misses. They get the offensive rebound as we're under 30 seconds left. Steph takes another deep three, clanks that one. The Lakers get the rebound here. Steph had a couple chances, couldn't connect. Then here's the play. Draymond Green drives, then throws it away. Not sure where he was trying to throw the ball to. Anthony Davis comes up with it. It's a jump ball out of it. Not a foul. It was a jump ball. They still do jump balls. Out of this, the Warriors actually get it, but Steph throws it and nobody's home. He turns the ball over with just over a second and a half to go. Again, the Warriors just played so poorly down the stretch, decision-making wise, for a team that has such championship pedigree. And the Lakers win it. 104-101 is the final behind the great play from Lonnie Walker IV with 15 points. As you saw, he didn't score any until the fourth quarter in that game. Curry with a triple-double last night. But the Lakers now lead this series 3-1 with a chance to knock out the champs tomorrow night in San Francisco, which would be a heck of a thing for a team. The Lakers, you remember when we were doing the up-to-date standings in the middle part of the season, that they're 13th or 14th in the Western Conference, and now here they are, a win shy of going to the conference championship. That Denver-Phoenix series will resume tonight in Denver after the Suns have won the last 2 games of that series. So the Western Conference, who knows? I mean, we could have a Kevin Durant versus LeBron James Western Conference final. That would be spicy. Nikola Jokic versus LeBron. I love watching Jokic play. He's just phenomenal. Versus LeBron. Is Golden State done? No. But down 3-1, you're going to have to win here. Yeah, they came back against, if I remember right, they were behind. It was 3-1 against Oklahoma City, if I remember right. They came back and beat the Thunder. That was the last of the Westbrook and Durant, Thunder, that Golden State came back and won when they won 73 games and broke the Bulls record that season. Granted, they lost to LeBron, but it'll be fun to see what happens. That was a heck of a game last night. The NBA playoffs have not disappointed, except if you're a Knicks fan, because the Knicks got beat last night by Miami on the road. And the Miami Heat, how about that, as the 8th seed, who were in the play-in, lost the first play-in game to the Hawks, had to beat the Bulls, to keep going. Then they knock out the Bucks, and now they're a win away from beating the Knicks and moving to the Eastern Conference Final. The Knicks now down 3-1 are going to have to win 3 in a row. And that next game comes up Wednesday night. at Madison Square Garden in New York, which will be rocking, but the Knicks have to win all three. You got Jimmy Butler and Kevin Love leading the Miami Heat. Timberwolves fans just shaking their heads collectively after seeing that over the last couple days. So there's your NBA playoff update. It is recruiting season, as we mentioned last week. The Bison got their first commit. You met Isaiah St. Romain from Williston, North Dakota. The Bison have another commit, again, another in-state guy. You met him. He came in studio to talk with us last month. Fargo-North's Peder Haugo made it official yesterday that he will play for the Bison, announced his commitment to NDSU. The state's leading rusher last season for the North Spartans, who went all the way to the Class 11A state championship game. Remember, Peter said that NDSU was looking at him likely at defense, potentially at safety to play there. He racked up 18 touchdowns last season for a North team that really broke through. That's hope they made the state semifinals in 2021, state championship game last year. They've got high hopes here in the fall of 23 with this guy that they can do something really special, and potentially having Jeremiah Sem on the team, which we're going to talk about Sem later on in the show. Just a dynamite player, and he's in the middle of track yesterday. We caught up with him. You're going to hear from him in just a few minutes about his commitment to the Bison. And that's 2 for 2 for NDSU on in-state guys. Now, granted, the biggest fish they wanted was Riley Sunram. They didn't get him, the Kindred kid who committed to Minnesota. But they've got 2 guys here in-state that they were after. I know there's another commit hanging out there that has not been announced publicly yet. It's another North Dakota guy as well that they were after. And it'll be intriguing to see who ends up being that commit and what position. I know they haven't got a lineman yet. They've got wide receiver and likely, I would imagine safety is where Haugo's going to end up playing at NDSU when he gets there. But they have not addressed either of the lines yet. That'd be something I might be keeping an eye on here as you go forward. But the recruiting process underway. We're going to hear Logan Campbell caught up with Haugo yesterday. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. I want to spend a little minute on hockey here before we wrap up our opening segment and set up our show. How about a shout out to Nick Oliver and the Fargo Force, because they are playing for the Clark Cup Championship. Last night, the Force went into Lincoln. There was a 7-goal first period. By the way, I have a huge issue with the jerseys here because the Force have the same exact color scheme as the Stars do. It took me a second to realize the Force are wearing the black jerseys and the Stars are in the gray. Either way, it was a 4-3 game after the first period in this game. The Force erupted for 4 goals in the third period. Cole Knuble had 4 of them himself as they beat Lincoln 8-4. Sending the Force off to the Clark Cup Championship for the 6th time in franchise history, trying to win a second title. They won, of course, in 2018 when Kerry Eads was the head coach. Now Eads runs the ship here for the Force. And after a year last year, down year last season, they have bounced back with Oliver at the helm. Guy used to play for the Force, Roseau kid who was a dynamite hockey player. And they will be at home on Saturday night to start the championship series. They'll play either Youngstown or Chicago. Now, there's history here with either one of these teams. The Force beat Youngstown to win the championship in 2018, and they lost to Chicago in 2021, the last time that they played for the title. Just a quick backstory on this with the Force, because it's interesting to me that when Dean Blaze brought this team here and was the first coach of this team, and they made it all the way to the championship in their first year, way back in 2009. Then they did it again in 2010, lost to Green Bay. I'll never forget that series because the Force won the first 2 and then lost the following 3. I think it was Indiana, the Ice. I don't think they still have a team anymore. It was 2009. They followed up with a couple other trips here, and here we are, middle of May. Weather's going to be in the 70s, and we're still playing hockey in this town. And it is a very passionate fan base. it's always intriguing to me because after the first of the year is normally when Shields Arena gets packed out there, and I imagine it will be for games 1 and 2. They'll host this weekend, and it will be rocking out there. Congratulations to their entire team. That was good stuff to see as they win last night on the road and will play for the championship beginning this weekend. Lastly, we mentioned it on our What to Watch. I'm not sure how many did watch. Was the NHL Draft Lottery last night, and there was controversy all about it. Not only who won the lottery, but because ESPN kind of biffed it on presenting it, and it wasn't live. Like I don't know what they were doing that it wasn't live, because they were going to go to commercial break, and Kevin Weeks says that Columbus will pick third, and yet it hadn't been revealed on the screen yet, and they went to commercial. Like, wait a minute, what? Because how they did it, they did it like, I'm not a great Miss America mind, but they did it where the winner and then the team who didn't win was going to pick second. So they had already given up that Columbus was going to be picking third. That left Chicago and Anaheim, who were two of the top three, to earn the number 1 overall pick. And as it turns out, it's the Chicago Blackhawks who end up winning the draft lottery last night. Chicago, which you'll remember, pick number 1 had Jonathan Taves. Pick number 1 with Patrick Kane. And now they win last night and get likely going to be Connor Bedard, who's going to be the number 1 pick in the NHL draft next month. They had an 11.5% chance to win it. The Ducks had an 18.5% chance to win the lottery. And people already, the conspiracy theorists were out that this was rigged to give Chicago a original 6 team that's been bad the last few years. Taves is done. Kane got traded, that the Blackhawks can be good again. And this guy, by the way, has the opportunity to do that. Connor Bedard is about as good as a young hockey prospect as Connor McDavid was, and we've seen what he's been able to do with the Edmonton Oilers. Columbus, by the way, had the second best chance to win, and they went all the way to third. Wolves fans know what I'm talking about there, but the Blackhawks end up winning the lottery, and then it'll be the Ducks picking second, and then Columbus picking third. Why was it not live? I don't understand why it wasn't live. You got to show me something here. All right, here we go. Darren Ravel tweets out this. $5.2 million in revenue in season tickets sold by the Blackhawks in the first 12 hours after getting the number 1 pick, which will be Connor Bedard. $4.54 million is max compensation, including salary, signing, and performance bonuses. He can be paid this upcoming season, which is how the NHL draft salary cap works. It's funny when a cap works in a particular sport. So the Blackhawks will have the number 1 pick coming at the end of June. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Tuesday morning. I mentioned you'll hear from Fargo-North's Peder Haugo here in just a few minutes about his commitment to NDSU. Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35. Lots to chat about with Michael, including an all-time Minnesota Viking great that passed away earlier today. We'll do that at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Darrius Shepherd will join us, former North Dakota State wide receiver, 4-time national champion, FCS MVP of the 2018 title game and his final game. And now he'll be in the Detroit Lions camp this weekend trying to earn a spot back in the NFL after a award-winning season in the XFL with the St. Louis Battlehawks. He'll join us at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, NDSCS women's basketball head coach Park Masterson will join us about the commitment of Grace Massaquoi. We talked about yesterday, Grace now signing with NDSU after 1 season at Science. Park recruited her to come to Wahpeton, and we'll ask her about what kind of player the Bison will be getting in their lineup for next season. So, a packed Tuesday here on a beautiful day. Let's rock and roll. Hot Mike returns after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, Inform.com. Mike McFeely coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Lots to chat with Michael here around the bend. We mentioned it off the top of the show. NDSU has a second commit in the boat for the class of 2024, both from the state of North Dakota. Peder Haugo announced his commitment yesterday afternoon. The Fargo North standout will play another year of football. He's in the middle of track season now. No, he's going to probably play hoops again for the defending state champion Spartans. Our Logan Campbell visited with Peder yesterday to ask him about his commitment to NDSU.
All right, Peder, it's officially official. You're going to NDSU. Has it hit you yet?
Not really. Just getting all the phone calls and everything from all the coaches. Once that finally happens, then it'll hit me. But right now, it just kind of feels surreal.
You said back in April, once you got the offer from NDSU, the others started flowing in. Where else did you get offers from?
I only had one other offer from UND, but a bunch of other looks from some mid-major FBS schools. But just no other offers besides UND and NDSU. So
what made NDSU stand out?
Just being right down the block from my home. I have 3 younger siblings, so staying close to them, watching them grow up was really important to me, and just playing for a great program like NDSU has always been a dream. So just made it a no-brainer once I found out that I got an offer.
I mean, how surreal is that for you that you're getting to play collegiate football in your own backyard?
It's kind of crazy. I mean, grew up obviously tailgating all the time and everything, like just being a little kid, wide-eyed, going to their games and everything, and just kind of last night thinking to myself, like, wow, I'm actually going to be playing there in like 3 years. It just doesn't even feel real.
Oh, I'm sure. And what were your conversations like with the coaches?
Just they wanted me to feel like I'm at home, even more so that I just live right down the street. But it's just making sure it's a good fit for me. I like the position that I'm going to be playing and just making it a home fit.
What position are you playing? Because you play running back, linebacker, you do it all.
They want me to play something on the defensive side, whether that be linebacker or safety. It's undecided as of now. But
how do you feel about that?
I like the defensive side of the ball more, just so maybe when I'm older, my body's not going to be as banged up as if I were to play on the offensive side. But I don't know, I like the defensive side of the ball more.
If I told you 10 years ago you're going to play for NDSU and represent the green and gold, what would you even say?
I wouldn't have believed you at all. Just being a kid, I feel like a feat like playing Division I football just seemed like such a big task. And if you would have told me 10 years ago, I would not believed you one bit.
What does it mean to you to be this hometown kid and represent the state of North Dakota?
Feels great. I mean, obviously there's other people from North Dakota that play for NDSU, but just being able to actually represent my hometown and state just feels amazing. I can't even put words to it.
Still have a year of high school football left, though. What's next for you?
Well, we won a state championship the most. We got a little taste of it in basketball and almost got there in state football, but I mean, making sure to put that hard work in the offseason and get the guys ready for the upcoming season.
We appreciate Logan helping us out yesterday with Peder. And talented guy, athletic guy. Sky's the limit. I'm intrigued to see what happens, especially with his football team this year. He mentioned it there at the end of the interview with Logan about what North did over the last couple of years. He's been a huge part of that, and I'm really interested there. Jamestown's not going anywhere. I think the Blue Jays are going to be good again. But in the new look 11A, I'm finally getting used to this now. We're 3 years in of how you pronounce or how you get these classifications right. North's got to be the favorite. I know Jamestown's won the last 2 championships, and they are not to be messed with. But the amount of talent that the Spartans bring back, that's nothing to sneeze at. That they're going to be right in the mix again for this upcoming season. And this guy's a big reason why. And if he gets his teammate Jeremiah Sem to come back and play for another season of football, that's another reason why they could very well be in the mix here this upcoming year. So congratulations to Peder. And I know Colorado State was going to have him out for a visit. I don't know if he ended up making that or not. That may have been, hey, we want you to come out once the summer comes. And Colorado State's now one that's sniffing around here. Obviously, with Buda Williams there, former Bison defensive line coach, who is now in his second season with the Rams. He's got 2 Bison transfers to come there, and Kobe Johnson and Dom Jones that have both decided to go there. I think Colorado State's now keeping an eye on what's happening in this part of the world. But for now, at least, that means that Haugo is going to be heading to NDSU Also, by the way, this just came in, and I only bring this up because he's part of our opening sound bites of the show. The Redhawks, who get their season going later this week on the road, they go to King County. If we can do that bit again like we did last summer, good in King County. And I can't remember the other one now of the teams. I got them mixed up like 18 times last year. Lake Country and King County. The Hawks play King County this week to start the season. Anyway, they have announced they're going to retire the jersey number of Doug Simonek, the longtime Redhawks manager, the winningest manager in independent baseball history. 22 seasons with the Hawks, 6 championships, 98, 2003, 06, 09, and 2010. It was all in the old Northern League. Struggles came in the American Association when they moved there. 22 winning seasons in 22 winning seasons in 25 years, reached the playoffs 19 times. The ceremony will be prior to the start of the game, June the 9th, against the Chicago Dogs. That's good to see because I know there were some harsh feelings when he was let go at the end of before the season was done. I think it was 2017 or 2018. He was, they said part ways, but the Thomes didn't want to acknowledge they fired him. And there were a lot of upset people about that going down. And Michael Schlack came in and managed for a couple years, and then he got a job at Affiliated Ball, and then Coast has been the guy here for the last couple years. And I think there's a certain legion of fans that are happy that Coaster's the guy, being a former Hawk that made it all the way to the majors. But it's good to see that this will happen because I still think there was a huge swath of fans that go to the games because it's nice out and we're crammed inside for 7 or 8 months. But when Simonek was managing, there was a large contingent that would go just to see him and whatever antics he would do. Sometimes they would be histrionic. Sometimes they would be melodramatic. But more often than not, it would be somewhat entertaining. He would do something that would make you shake your head. And I never would be an interview I wouldn't come away with without shaking my head about something he would tell me. So, including that snippet that we got from that we used to lead off our show. So, I'm glad that there has been a taming of the water, so to speak, and the ice is cooled on each side there to allow this to happen. So, June the 9th, they will honor the all-time great and Doug Simonek here with retiring his number. Goes up there with Coaster's numbers there, Joe Mathis' number there, obviously Roger Maris's number is there, and now number 33 will get honored as well. That's cool stuff. We'll take a break. We come back. Mike McFeely will join us. Lots to pour into with Michael, including another FCS team with FBS aspirations. We'll dive into that when Hot Mike returns on a Tuesday morning. We're back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Let's do it here as Mike McFeely joins us on a Tuesday morning. Great to see you. I apologize if I'm predating you, but I saw the story that came in that former Vikings QB Joe Kapp passed away at 85.
Oh, no.
Led the Vikes to their first Super Bowl in Super Bowl 4, if I remember
Something like
right.
that when they lost to the Chiefs, and that was turned into the Hank Stram thing that he made a...
I just wanted to play this video. I know the man struggled with dementia, clearly from playing from football, but look at what he used to do at quarterback.
Yes.
Is outrageous what these guys used to do.
Yes. Well, he was, I think, even more physical and
let's
more
end
of a
this run
running
here.
quarterback. Look at that.
Just close line
That's
to
a
the end zone.
30-yard penalty now, which it should be. Look at that. They decapitated him.
I know. Oh,
But Joe Kapp was known as not much of a passer.
No.
But certainly an inspired leader and a guy that ran the ball and was like another, running back for the Vikings. Got him to their first Super Bowl.
They won what was called then the NFL championship.
Yes.
Because it was the NFL AFL in those days before they merged together. He led the Vikes to their first playoff appearance, which ended with a loss to the Baltimore Colts in 1968. He was said
Bud
to have
Grant, of course, was the coach. I think in 1967, Bud Grant was named the head coach. He was also passed away recently, and so all the heroes of my childhood are, which is not a good sign for me. If I want to turn it around into something selfish and narcissistic, this is a bad sign for me that people of my childhood are all dying.
I'm going to turn it around here on you. So I got a couple things. We got a lot to talk about here today.
Okay.
Story that our friend and colleague Wyatt Wheeler from the Springfield News Leader reporting. He talked with Missouri State President Cliff Smart. He's quoted as saying that it's only a matter of time. It's a when, not if, that the school move up to FBS football. Now, Missouri State's name has been bandied about several times over the last couple years when all of this started, and I'm going to blame Oklahoma and Texas 2 summers ago when they made the jump from the Big 12 to the SEC. They've been out there, I think, with Conference USA, Mike, for the most part,
I've seen mostly Conference USA with Missouri State. Couple of things that I find interesting. Number one, when the Missouri Valley Football Conference let in Murray State, whatever it was, a year ago,
that was last spring.
Whatever it was, I sent emails to every conference president in the Valley trying to poll who voted yes and who voted no for Missouri State. And
because it was not unanimous.
It was not unanimous, right? And Dean Brashani, Dean Brashani, the president at North Dakota State at the time, came out and said, we voted against it, and we weren't the only ones. And so several did not respond. UND's guy, Armacost, through his spokesman, said, they'd asked the presidents to be confidential.
Correct.
And so, Brashani kind of blew the seal off that.
He was leaving.
Much to the consternation of everybody that hates NDSU, which is everybody.
We could say UND voted yes. I think we're in the boat there.
They did,
UND,
but yes, no, I know that they voted yes. The story there, from what I've heard through sources, is that the football coach, Bubba Schweigert, and his staff recommended a no vote, basically saying that Murray State offers nothing to our conference, and they're a bad program, and it's a bad travel trip. And from what I've been told,
all accurate.
Yep. And from what I've been told, Armacost just sort of said we're going to be the good guys and vote yes.
Good soldiers in that.
Yep. But anyway, Cliff Smart got back to me,
the president of Missouri State,
directly, and more power to him. And he said, I was an enthusiastic yes for Murray State, and I was a booster of Murray State, rather, trying to get them in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and they'll be a great partner. They'll be a great conference member, and I was enthusiastic in my yes vote for Murray State.
Okay.
So now we know why, because Missouri State's getting the hell out.
They want out, right?
The other thing I'll bring up is Kyle Motes was at a playoff game last December in Fargo. I don't know.
The AD at Mo State.
The athletic director at Missouri State. And Kyle and I are fine. We always chat and BS and a lot of lot of good info.
Yeah, he used to be on the FCS playoff committee, so he was great for that. Yep.
And after we were done with our pleasantries and our chatting, I started to go, well, okay, so you can just be straight with me, buddy. When are you guys going FBS? Come on. When are you going FBS? Yeah. And Kyle just goes, it's not going to happen. And he just got kind of frustrated and flustered and kind of walked away with that, thing, even though I was joking with him. Yeah. And so now I know that he was also full of beans.
This is what Smart told Wyatt. What are the financial requirements and what are the revenue changes that would offset some of that? MSU Athletics Director Kyle Motes is always evaluating and engaging in those conversations. It just hasn't been the right fit yet or the right time.
Yeah. Those are statements that we've been hearing in Fargo,
yes,
and everywhere else.
Springfield's a good town. I mean,
Missouri State they'll be just fine in FBS. They have great facilities. The baseball stadium is really better than Newman Outdoor Field.
That's a AA home of the Springfield Cardinals.
The basketball arena was
fantastic.
John Q. Hammonds is the benefactor. It turns out that there's all kinds of shenanigans going on there, but the arena's gorgeous.
They spent money on a great basketball arena, no doubt.
The baseball field is John Q. Hammond's field is beautiful. God, the football stadium,
they renovated that a few years ago.
And it's good enough for what FBS is.
Now
we're not talking Power 5. We're not talking 85,000 seat stadium. We're talking whatever 15, 16,000. That's fine at Missouri State, and they can still upgrade because it's
right.
They can close the ends and all of those things. They'll be fine.
So Missouri State would be on par with some of the top spenders in the next iteration of Conference USA and nearly $8 million below the Sun Belt median. So to your point, again, it's not astronomical what they're trying to reach.
No,
here.
and Conference USA is with Jacksonville State and is it Kennesaw
and Sam Houston.
Yep. It's just a bunch of FCS schools that are moving up to FBS. It's not some great leap. And Missouri State, Springfield's geographically is in a great spot.
We always wondered that. Why are they not better in football until Petrino got there a couple years ago?
But I mean, just in terms of the footprint for another conference.
Absolutely. They're right in the sweet spot there.
They're not far from, they're obviously just, Springfield is like, you can throw a football from Springfield to Arkansas. And it's a great area. It's a nice town. It's southerny, and there's great recruiting area for football. They'd be fine.
So then we just replace Murray State with Missouri for Murray State. We replace for Missouri State.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't like that idea at all.
It's just.
This is Conference
so
USA.
Bad.
Conference USA for this upcoming year is Florida International, Jacksonville State, or don't forget our friends at Liberty, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, UTEP, and Western Kentucky.
Yep.
That's a lot of former FCS teams that are in
mostly
that mix.
former FCS teams, and not even very good ones, right? But which again doesn't matter. It's about geography and all of that stuff. So
something to keep an eye on that.
And meanwhile, here we are in Fargo, stuck in FCS for the foreseeable future because sadly we're geographically challenged.
No man's land on that. Speaking of NDSU. We talked about it yesterday on the show, and you wrote about this when the story broke on Sunday night from Pete Thamel that our guy, Chris Klieman, might be able to take us out to dinner if we want to do next time. $44 million extension through 2030.
And he was already doing okay, by the way.
He was doing okay. But this is what happens when you win the Big 12 championship and you play Alabama in the Sugar Bowl.
And you beat Oklahoma twice.
A couple times over. You've beaten Texas.
Yep. And they're going to be good again this year.
They're the favorites. I think they're the favorites to win that league.
Well, possibly.
They bring everybody back.
Yeah. Yep.
They beat TCU in the championship game.
I still remember. I had sources tell me he's going to be in the running for this job.
Yep.
He's going to be in the running for the Kansas State job.
That was in early of the fall of 2018.
2018, when Bill Snyder, Snyder had not yet announced he was not going to return, but the word was kind of out that he was, thinking about not returning. Yep. And so I started sniffing around, and I had more than one person who should know tell me, probably be a pretty strong candidate just because of the relationship with Gene Taylor.
Right.
And, it's a natural discussion point. I wrote the column and I got absolutely roasted by people in Kansas City, by people around here, by people everywhere say, "Oh, you're not going to hire an FCS coach to go right to." And all I said was, I'm fairly confident that he will at least be a very strong candidate for that job. Not saying he's going to get it.
No, but in the mix.
Right. He's going to be a very strong candidate for that job, only because I know how tight Taylor and Klieman were, and Taylor was not going to at least look at it. And I knew that they had, at least in passing, in a very casual way, had talked about it in the past.
Yep.
Yes. He got roasted. Who's roasting now?
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Who's roasting now?
Well, I mentioned this. I had Gene on right before the Sugar Bowl, and I said, the kids say keeping receipts. Like, did you keep any text messages? Or oh yeah, I got a couple he saved that I look back on and share.
And even after he made the hire, he was getting just absolutely destroyed. Yes,
absolutely.
Yep.
Listen to this, by the way, of what our guy is now in the mix here. Brent Venables is $6.4 million at Oklahoma.
Who was, by the way, that's the guy
that was a hot name. Remember,
that's the guy that Kansas State boosters and fans and media wanted. Venables. He was the D coordinator at Clemson at the time.
Yep. Sarkisian is the head coach at Texas. We know he's in there. Gundy makes 7.5. Klieman's had some fun stories about Mike Gundy, by the way.
Okay.
That he's shared. And the other guy, Neil Brown, who at that time was at Memphis, now is at West Virginia.
Yes.
He's making more than him. Brown makes 3.1 at West Virginia.
Seth Luttrell at North
Texas.
Was at North Texas? Is he still? I
No,
don't think
he
he's
got
still
canned.
There. Yeah,
he's out. North Texas. They fired him after last season.
I think Gene interviewed Seth Luttrell and just was not impressed.
Yeah.
And said, okay, and so ended up hiring Chris. And
boy, how about that though?
Yeah.
He made a tough deal. He fired Courtney Messingham after things did not go well in 2021, and he moved up. Joe Klanderman now is probably the next hot shot coach.
Yeah.
He's now the defensive coordinator at Kansas State. He came here after a stint in Mankato, and now he might be the next guy in the rotation when this happens next.
Yeah.
I would imagine next year, if K-State's good again, that he's going to get some calls. That's how it works.
Well, and I got a text from somebody this morning in Bismarck saying, wow, what do you think Entz is thinking right now with Chris Klieman getting $44 million? And my response was, but the Klieman to Manhattan thing was a once in a, not lifetime, but once in a generation because of the Taylor relationship.
Yeah.
I said, Matt Entz is not going to go right from North Dakota State. Even if they win the title this year, or if they finish second again, or you get to the semis again, he might go somewhere.
Yep.
And I've been expecting it for a couple of years now. But
there have been schools sniffing around the last couple of recruiting cycles.
There surely have been.
Coaching cycles, excuse me.
But he's not going to go right from North Dakota State to a Power 5 like Chris did. He's going to have to go to
the Group of Five route.
Group of Five, to a Mountain West or a Conference USA or a MAC.
I'd be more asking what Craig Bohl's thinking. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, because Craig always wanted to get back into that conference, into that part of the world.
He wanted to get back into that world.
Yes. And that's not going to happen.
No.
And it's just, and how hard the feelings were as we're coming out on the 10-year anniversary of the breakup, so to speak, of when things went down in 2013.
Who got in the correct van and who got in the wrong van? That's the story is the van that included Chris
that
Klieman,
went to Grand Forks in 2013.
Yes, the van when there was the split in the coaching staff because of who was going where, and the coaches were riding in different vans up to practice in Grand Forks because of the flood. Who got in the right van and who got in the wrong van? The right van are all making multiple millions in Manhattan, and the wrong van is
they're doing okay.
They're doing okay in Laramie, but
not as well.
Not as well.
No. Let's take a break. We come back. A couple other things we'll head on with Mike here as we continue on a Tuesday morning. We're back after this on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com. Some news as we are on the air from UND and their football program that Bubba Schweiger announcing that Danny Freund has been elevated to associate head coach. Freund just completed his 12th season on the staff, 4th season as offensive coordinator. Are we out of the realm of possibility to connect the dots that might be the next guy?
Well, I think
UND?
I think that's kind of been the belief for some time that, and I think that I don't know Danny Freund at all. From what I've heard, I think that he's had his eye on wanting to be the head coach, as anybody naturally would. He's a
former quarterback.
There. His wife, I think, is from Grand Forks or East Grand, one or the other. They've lived there forever, and so, and he's kind of he's a popular guy, it seems, among the fans and the boosters because they view Danny as the, sort of the younger, gunslinger type of offensive guy, and so I would guess that would be the case. What Bubba Schweiger's contract goes through what now, 26, 25 or 26?
Gosh, I got to look here quick. I think you're right. I think it's 26 now.
Something like that. He just got the extension, so I don't know. And I'm not saying he's going to be gone, but I think Bubba's going to coach as long as he wants to coach in Grand Forks. They're not going to get rid of him unless there's some
they fall way off.
They end up 1-10, which they're not going to do. They're fine. But it's just and that's if you can put a phrase out there, that's sort of the UND way, right? I mean, for right or wrong, and if you talk to people who are UND football fans, you get both sides of the coin.
You definitely get both sides of it. Absolutely.
I have a couple of friends in 2025. Bubba, our producer guy, just told us in our ear. I have a couple of friends who are UND fans here in Fargo-Moorhead, and they are more of the, Bubba's a great guy, nice guy, but just not going to be that guy.
Not going to be the guy
to get us, past the Bison, which is what they all want.
How about in the conversation with the Bison? Because you're not there yet either.
No, but they finished third last year in the league. That's behind
still,
South Dakota State, North Dakota State. And I think they're going to give the Bison a run this year up in Grand Forks. And so I'm sure Bubba, whenever the day comes when he decides that he wants to be done, he wants to be able to have that one notch in his belt at least that he beat NDSU.
They beat NDSU. Yep.
And they would carry the goal post out of the Alaris Center and throw him in the river, whatever they did last time they beat him in '93.
How do you get them out of the Alaris?
Well, I think the Alaris Center management would find a way to open those.
They open the garage door.
Open the garage door, right? Yes, they would. They absolutely would.
They absolutely would.
Yes.
Is right.
Yep, they would. And so I think it's a natural. The question, and I talk about the UND way. It's, they just never seem, especially with the football program, to want to take a chance. Kalen DeBoer famously was a finalist
for that job.
I think it was between him and Bubba back in 2013. And was Kalen DeBoer going to stick around for 15 years? No. But would he have elevated UND to a different level than Bubba could get them to? If your goal is to beat NDSU and to be better than NDSU, which is their goal. They can say whatever they want in Grand Forks. Their goal is to overtake NDSU and say that, we're better than you, because they're sick of getting crapped on for 15 or 20 years now because NDSU went Division I first
before they did
and has won 9 national championships
and gets almost every North Dakota player that they want.
And they're sick of it. Okay, so that's the goal of UND football, boosters, fans, administration, media, whatever. Kalen DeBoer, I think, clearly would have gotten them closer.
Would have been some spice there.
At least quicker.
Yep.
And then would have taken off after 5 years and gone on to make $1 gajillion.
4, right? Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then, but, they hired Bubba, and he's, he's the link to the past. He's a link to the glory days. And he's done fine. They graduate their kids. They've
made the playoffs.
They've
won one playoff
other than the
game.
Otis Weah multiple sexual assault allegations against him, there's been nothing that we know of that's been any sort of controversy or anything. And they make the playoffs. They're competitive. They've only had one competitive game against NDSU in Division I, but maybe that'll change. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it just, and so moving from Bubba to Danny Freund, if that's what this is all about, then it would just fit perfectly with what Bill Chaves and the UND way and
keep that going.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're a UND football fan, I mean, is that what you want? I mean,
I think there's some section of them that yes. I think there's another side that I hear from that say no, we want something different.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you're going to get it. With,
no, I don't think so
Bill
either.
Chaves and with Armacost and with just the way. I think they're perfectly happy being where they are in the playoff picture, top 20, 25 team, competitive with again they finished third in the Valley last year behind the two teams that played for the national championship.
Speaking of UND, a player that I want to talk hoops before we go that has caught everybody's eye. Fargo North's Jeremiah Sem got a basketball offer from Paul Sather in UND. Yeah. That's his second Division I offer. Texas A&M Commerce offered him about 2.5 weeks ago.
And they're a new Division I, correct? They're moving up from Division II.
Yeah, they just are moving up here. I think they're in their second year of the transition. What do we make of this? He was the star of the State A basketball tournament. I know every Bison fan I've talked, why aren't the Bison talking to him?
Yeah.
And I think they have. I think Dave has some certain criteria he looks for from a player. This is really interesting now that UND's entered the fray on this, I think.
Well, and it's interesting to me that it's taken this long even for one of the North Dakota schools to get in. And I just don't know. I don't know the story of why North Dakota State isn't quite there yet. I believe, I've heard rumors. I don't know if they have talked to him or but I just don't know what's going on there. That's going to take some reporting or some information to figure out what, Dave Richmond is rigid in who he wants to recruit and the type of player he wants to recruit. And, they all have to fit the system and they have to fit the culture. And that, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Oh, that's the player he's looking for.
I don't mean that Jeremiah Sem wouldn't fit the culture. I just don't know. But Dave wants a player to play a certain way and, adhere to the system. And that's just the way it's going to be. And he's been successful.
It's worked.
So you can't argue. But I don't know why, what's going on.
You watch enough of him. Is he a Division I player?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
My God. Are you what?
I'm just saying.
He was so
pretty good to me.
He was so far the best athlete on the floor in the state Class A.
I agree
that it wasn't even close. The other kids going to UND, and even the Dissett kid going to NDSU. Dissett's good
player.
But in terms of athleticism,
Jeremiah
is 10 times the athlete that the other kids from North Dakota who are going to UND are. It's unbelievable.
It'll be fun to follow this here over the next, because this summer is when things will really start to get interesting on the AAU circuit of how this is going to go.
No, he is fun to watch. That was a pleasure to watch the Class
3 days
A state tournament last year with him and the whole North team.
And they're going to be back again next season, so they're going to be in the driver's seat again. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Always good to visit with Mike McFeely. He joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:35. We come back. Darrius Shepherd will join us after his tour in the XFL and now gets a shot to get back into the NFL. One of Klieman's great ones. Shoot him up for the second half. He's going to catch those 2 passes against Northern Iowa.
He's also a guy that Klieman kept going, he's good, he's guys.
Really good.
He's good.
It worked out all right.
Yeah, it did.
He'll join us. We come back on Hot Mic right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Hot Mike on this Tuesday morning. We got some breaking news to share just in. And anytime it's schedule related, it's always something interesting. Coming from NDSU, the Bison announced that they have signed a 2-game contract with the Citadel. NDSU will play at the Citadel, which is based in Charleston, South Carolina. They will open up the 2025 season in Charleston, South Carolina, Johnson Haygood Stadium against the Bulldogs. Then they will come to Fargo on September 18th, 2027. This will be the first ever matchups against these two teams. The Citadel have qualified for the SCS playoffs 5 times in program history, including back-to-back appearances in 2015 and 2016. What this means, because now we're starting to flesh out here, and this doesn't sound like it's too far away, but it's actually not that far now, because as people know, 2024 and 2025 are 12-game FCS seasons. And now with this put in, the Bison are going to open up 2025 in South Carolina, and then the following week is the game in Nashville against Tennessee State. So for Bison fans, you best start saving up now, because you're going to be hitting the southeastern part of the country quite a bit over the next 2 years. So over the next, not counting 23, because that's this upcoming football season, and we're going to go down the rabbit hole because people know how much of a nerd I am with this stuff. But think about this. For the next 2 football seasons, NDSU is going to play in Kentucky, Tennessee, twice over, and now South Carolina. That's part of the country they've never been before. They're going to hit, because next season they play Murray State on the road. That's in Kentucky. And they play East Tennessee State, which obviously is in Tennessee, in Johnson City, in 2024. That's a non-conference home and home. With the Buccaneers are coming here, I think, in 26. And then now in 25, they got the game at the Citadel in South Carolina, and then the game in Nashville. Now, a reminder here, the Bison already have a game slated for 2025. The end of the regular season, they have a game with St. Thomas already scheduled. The Tommies coming to Fargo, the final game of the season. So Todd Phelps has been talking to us about this, and of course Phelps has now gone on DEFCON 1 after breaking the Tennessee State-Nashville game on the air with us last year. I think he's barred from talking to us about scheduling stuff. Maybe we can get him on the show tomorrow or Thursday. But this is now a done deal, that the Bison will play a home-and-home with the Citadel beginning in the 2025 season, and then host the Citadel in 2027. We'll have more on this the rest of our show, and, of course, coming up tonight on our news at 6 and 10, as NDSU playing a game against this team that, out of the SoCon, that they are an option team. They still run the option in that school. This in a program that has seen, obviously, that league has changed over completely with the departures of App State and Georgia Southern that have moved on. Chattanooga's in that league. Samford's in that league. We just saw Samford this past year. Furman's there. Western Carolina. People know Wofford. They've been up here a couple of times. They've seen East Tennessee State. They were just up here for the playoffs a couple years ago, and the Bison are going there, as I mentioned, next season. VMI's in that league. So this past season, the Citadel was 4-7 on the year. This upcoming season, they'll play an FBS game with Georgia Southern, former conference rival. This past season, they beat East Tennessee State. They beat Western Carolina. They had a non-Division I win against Virginia Lynchburg, and then beat VMI. They lost their FBS game was at App State, another conference game. They don't travel far outside of their axis, much like Samford. I'd have to go back a little bit here just to see maybe the last time they were on an airplane, because it's been a bit. 2021, again, they didn't go outside of the southeastern part of the United States. 2020, they were one of the rare teams that actually played in the fall. They played 4 games in the fall and then played a full spring schedule as well. They played South Florida, Clemson, Eastern Kentucky, and Army. They went to Army. That might be it. October of 2020, they went up to play Army. That might be the last time that they were on an airplane. But that's now official with the Bison and the Citadel for 2025 in South Carolina, and then the Citadel will come here in 2027. Now, without further ado, we got to play our interview with former Bison wide receiver Darrius Shepherd, who just wrapped up a dynamite season in the XFL, and in the process has earned an invite to the Detroit Lions. Here's our conversation we had yesterday with the former Bison All-American wide receiver. It's awesome whenever we get a chance to visit with a guy that tore it up here not too long ago. I don't want to date him too much. We mentioned throughout the winter that we were your XFL video leader, and that's because of our next guest who was tearing it up for the St. Louis Battlehawks. He was named the XFL Special Teams Player of the Year and now got an invite to the Detroit Lions camp. It's great to see former Bison standout receiver Darrius Shepherd, who joins us on Hot Mic. It has been too long, my man. How you been?
I'm doing well, Dom. It's nice to get to speak with you today, man.
Well, this is, I know you want to still be playing in your season because I was trying to follow the XFL tiebreakers, but tell me about this year, because we followed you last summer in the USFL, and then to get a chance and play in St. Louis, especially so close to home. How special of a year was it for you to play for the Battlehawks?
Yeah, it was a real fun year. I didn't really know what to expect putting my name into the draft for the XFL and where I was going to end up and how it was going to play out, but couldn't ask for a better situation. You know, I got the call from Coach Beck to go play for the St. Louis team, and I was like, hopefully we're going to be in St. Louis, and I found out we're going to be in Dallas, but the games were in St. Louis, so that was awesome, getting to have family and friends be there and see me play professionally. So overall, awesome experience. Obviously, wanted to end the championship, but we had a good run.
Describe the differences of learning the rules of this one. I know was it different, especially special teams, and how much you were and contributed on that. How much of the learning curve was that early on in the year?
Yeah, I would say the kick return is probably the biggest change. You know, how they have it set up with the straight line versus the traditional setup, and you know, we had to take some time to scheme things up and see how we were going to be effective with, you know, setting up blocks and just, you know, figuring out what's the best way to take advantage of it. So it was cool. There's some other rules I like that the XFL had, like the overtime rule was really cool. And I like also the 4th and 15 versus the onside kick. Yeah. I think that's a good thing for the game.
My next question. Were there any of those rules you'd like to see the NFL take and carry on?
Yeah, I think the NFL maybe mess around with that 4th and 15 instead of the onside kick. I think it just gives the games more excitement. You know, onside kicks are really hard to execute, but I mean, that's a special thing in itself. So,
when did you feel like you really got into a groove with AJ McCarron? Was it right away, or was it middle part of the year? Because it seemed like you guys and we're watching highlights from earlier this year. It seemed like almost every weekend, man, I saw you making a long pass or a touchdown grab.
Yeah, I would say around week 3 or so, I think we really took stride. I think that's when we really started to hit it off, and we didn't look back after that. So, you know, I had a lot of fun playing with AJ, and him having that vet experience was great for myself and the room, just to have him around all year.
I remember visiting with you for the times that when the Bison would play Missouri State and the chance to get back home, how excited you were. I remember you had a touchdown against Mo State, I think in 2016, of getting back there. And then to have all your games, home games like that, what was the family turnout? How big of a crowd did you have for each home game?
Yeah, it was sweet. We averaged around 15 to 20 people a week. I think at the most it was like 25. But just a lot of friends and family excited to come out there and get a chance to see me. And what made it really sweet is just the St. Louis fans in general. I mean, they're going to a stadium where they got 40,000 people loud and screaming, kind of like Arrowhead across the state, you know. So it was pretty cool. Did you even expect? I mean, to see that for XFL football, you're going to have 30,000 for a home game? I did not expect that, man. It was a really cool thing to have. It reminded me of the Fargo Dome, obviously, you know, being inside and how loud it was. Have you had a break at all? I mean, I know you played last summer. You went to the Broncos camp, and then to this. I mean, if you've been playing football, it seemed like nonstop for the last 12 months. Yeah, I try not to complain about it too much, but I've been playing football since 2021 training camp. pretty much the entire time minus a couple of weeks, So my body's feeling it every once in a while, but it's a beautiful thing to get to play this game. So I'm happy to still be around and doing what I'm doing.
Describe what the USFL experience was like and to get the door open to get into Broncos training camp last summer.
Yeah, it's another thing where you get this opportunity given to you. Pretty cool deal, just that people want to see football and that they know that there's more guys out there besides just the NFL. And then, transitioning to get another opportunity with the Broncos. That's what made me excited about the XFL, and with The Rock and Mrs. Garcia spearheading the thing, I knew it was going to have a lot of value and a lot of eyes on it. So playing for the XFL on ESPN and having the big crowds and I think the timeline as well is really helpful to get guys to get exposure and get another look at the league.
Now, the difference with the USFL, though, you were all just in one location. You were in Birmingham, if I remember, right? How different
Correct.
was the XFL that you were actually traveling for games?
Yeah, there's pros and cons to it. I really enjoyed it because you get to go to different cities and play different atmospheres. On the other hand, traveling every week is a little tiring, but it's part of it. It's part of the business. So it was cool to get to go to DC and just go to Seattle and San Antonio, places I haven't really got to be and explore much. So I really enjoyed that. And then just everybody being in Arlington was a good spot. Dallas wasn't too crazy weather-wise, so good setup down there.
Well, you know Dallas well from your college days, so that had to feel like right at home, right?
No doubt. Yeah, we're just a little bit south of Frisco, so I made my stop up there a couple times.
Nice place to have your last collegiate game. So now to have the door open to go back to the Lions camp for this week. Describe, I guess, what are your mindset of getting a chance in the door open again here with the NFL?
Yeah, it was a blessing to get that phone call from them, just for them to think that I did a good enough job to bring me in and take a look. So I'm just going to go in there and give my best and let the cards fall where they will. I don't try to put too much on it, but it's a really awesome opportunity.
Take me back, Darrius, to a few years ago, right after school, to break in with the Packers, earn a spot on the 53-man roster of what that grind was like, and how often do you still get? I'm still asking you about it now 5 years later, but asking about what that was like to get a rookie invite and then make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, it was a surreal experience. I had a lot of people help me get to that point, though. The crew over at Sanford Power in Fargo and Ryan Smith, former Bison standout. Those guys are in my corner the whole time, getting ready for pro day and getting ready for camp and everything. So it's been a whirlwind since then. But being in that moment back then, I just really wanted it really bad. And that's what helped me. That's what's helped me at this point to keep going and have that drive. Just I've done it before, so I know I can do it again.
How much? I guess that makes my next question. Just you have that muscle memory in the back of your head to say, "I've done this. That I can do this again for this upcoming weekend."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of the mentality. I mean, the biggest thing is just believing in yourself and getting the right opportunity with the right team. A lot of it is fit and some luck and timing. There's a lot of different aspects that play into sticking around in the pros. So we'll see what's in store for me this week.
Was there a time over the last couple of years, the grind of the practice squad, the USFL, even this past few months in the XFL, so you know what? I don't know how much I want to keep doing this, keep grinding. Did that thought ever go through your mind?
Yeah, I think those things pass in your brain every once in a while just because we're human. I mean, there's times where you wake up in the morning, you're like, I don't want to get up, but you just keep going and doing it because it's what you want to do. That's not really you talking, it's that little person. So you got to push them away and silence them.
I got to ask, I remember talking to you about this guy your senior year, but to see what happened with Christian Watson in his time here and now what he did in the NFL, do you kind of just shake your head about, hey, I remember that guy when he was just, 100 pounds walking around in Fargo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy to see, his trajectory and where he's at. I'm really excited for him year two. I don't know if he's the leader of that room, but, he's going to have a lot of opportunity over there. So I'm really excited to see how he does it. And I actually got to see Christian at one of our games because his brother Trey was on the Battlehawks with me. So I spoke with him recently and, yeah, I'm proud of that guy, man. He came into NDSU, a real skinny kid from Tampa, and with all the talent in the world, and he's taking advantage of it.
Did you get a debate with who the better Watson was? I've talked to Trey before, who the better football player was.
No, I didn't really get into much of that, but no, Trey's a heck of a player, and it was fun getting to play with him this year.
So when Christian came on campus and you're an upperclassman, you hear all the hype around him. What were the conversations early on, especially his redshirt year when you're an upperclassman and a major contributor on the team? Were you a mentor to him early on?
I think just how the Bison program is, you just try to bring those young guys along. You see all the potential they have, and they don't know what they have yet. So you're just like, come on, man. Try to push the envelope and At first he was a little knucklehead, but he figured it out, and I'm so happy to see him doing his thing and balling and living his life and living the dream out.
How close do you remember was he to playing early on, like to having the red shirt pull to him playing as a true freshman?
Yeah, he was a freak show athlete, so I think he was close. Just some of those guys, they need a little bit more time just to get ready, and he took off when he got his opportunity.
I got to ask now, when you saw last year that North Dakota State has a second-round pick as a wide receiver in the NFL draft, in your wildest dreams, you ever wrap your mind around that?
Yeah, like what's happening over there, right? We run the football, we run power. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see that we're not only putting out O-linemen and quarterbacks, but now we got some receivers going to the league, and I hope we'll keep that trend going.
Tell me about the bragging rights now when you're playing with a guy from Alabama that NDSU has always talked about. Did you get some barbs going in the locker room about how good NDSU is?
I'll speak up every once in a while, but I don't want to get too many arguments with Alabama. That's a pretty big program. But when you look at the statistics and the wins and everything, we're right there with them. So it's something to be proud of.
So I got to ask. I was talking with Kolpak. I know you visited with him last week, just about your amazing career here. Is there a catch or catches that come up? You think of when people ask, is a favorite one or one the most memorable? Is there what comes to mind when I ask you that?
Yeah, just two probably. The first one's going to be my freshman year against Northern Iowa, where Carson threw me the game winner. That probably really, I think, gave me a lot of confidence to kind of set the trend for my career. And then the last one would probably be the last touchdown I had with me and Easton, just kind of sealing the deal and just putting the stamp on it.
78-yarder is pretty good in the national championship game, right?
Right, no doubt.
How much pain were you in that game against Northern Iowa? People remember you only played one half. How hard, when you caught it, how much pain were you when you caught the ball?
That was a rough one. I had my shoulder kind of messed up that year and had to get surgery after. But, when you make a big play, you got so much adrenaline. So we figured it out.
So tell us for people following this weekend, what do you know? I guess, what are you being told by your agent about what can happen this weekend and then going forward when training camp rolls around this summer?
No doubt. So yeah, it's a 3-day opportunity to go up there and try out for the Lions. It's going to be a lot of football drills, team drills, meetings, and all that good stuff. And you go up there, try to put your best foot forward, show them how you can be a good addition to the squad. And I'm looking forward to it. I really like the staff they have up there from what I've seen from Hard Knocks last year. Yeah. Coach Campbell seemed like he's really gritty and kind of has some of the same things that the Bison program is facilitated around. So I look forward to going up there and seeing what Detroit has to offer, and hopefully I can fit in.
And you've been through this ringer before, so it's like, no, you can't be. I can't imagine you're nervous, right?
Yeah, man, you just got to go up there and do your thing. I've been to so many workouts now over the last few years, and you get nervous a little bit still, but just like you said, when you have the experience of going through it, it helps you to feel more prepared. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it play out and do my best, and that's all I can do. I can't control what those guys think or don't think.
Tell me, for people that don't know it, what is life like as a practice squad player in the National Football League? What is day-to-day life like?
So you're just grinding, hoping for your shot. It's pretty much like you're a part of the team, but you just don't play on Sundays. So, you're always trying to stay hungry, always trying to stay ready. It's an awesome job. I get a lot of flack because you are, grinding and doing a lot, but it's cool to be a part of that and get to learn and work on your skill set and sharpen your blade. So I think it's good for development, but everybody wants to play on Sundays.
How similar is it to the scout team when you're a freshman in college?
That's the best thing you compare it. That's the best thing you compare it to, for sure. Yep.
Just
whatever the coach needs, you're doing.
Just getting beat up every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right?
Exactly. Wednesday's your game day,
What? How many did you get a chance to even catch passes from Patrick Mahomes when you were in the Chiefs camp?
Yeah, I got a chance to catch a few passes from Pat, so that was really crazy. People ask me all the time, you caught passes from Aaron and Pat. What's it like? And I'm like, man, it's hard to describe. Those guys are unreal, next level. It's crazy. I get to be around those guys. So really cool deal.
Who throws it harder?
Who throws it harder? I mean, they both have super arm strength. I would say maybe Pat, but Aaron, there's nothing. I'm no knock on Aaron at all. He's incredible, but just arm strength, I don't know. They're both crazy.
If Mahomes were to throw the ball like he does underhanded as a wide receiver, how do you prepare for anything like that? Literally just have to have you just have to have your hands up?
I suppose, man. He's changing the game with all the different things he does. Him and Travis Kelce making up stuff and the laterals and behind the backs and the sidearms, no looks. It's crazy.
It's always great to catch up, bud. Thanks so much for making time for us. Good luck this weekend with the Lions, and hopefully we get to see you with the silver and blue on here this summer, okay?
Yes, sir. That's the plan. I appreciate you guys. Good hearing from you.
It's here on Hot Mic. We'll take a break. Much more as we roll on a Tuesday morning. We're back after this. Our scheduling news set us behind here. We're going to get back on track. We'll take a break. We come back. You'll hear from NDSCS women's basketball coach Park Masterson on the newest addition to the Bison lineup. We'll do that when Hot Mic returns right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike here as we roll on a Tuesday morning. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls and Inforum.com. I promise for you nerds out there, we'll get the NFL schedule stuff into tomorrow's show. Drew will be here. We'll break that down because we're already starting to get a little bit of tidbits, and tomorrow we'll know at least a couple of the games. So we'll do that come up tomorrow on the show. We mentioned yesterday, and it became official, the Bison women's basketball team has added a new player that comes from NDSCS, played for the Wildcats this past season by way of Holy Angels. Grace Massaquoi, who we had in our news last night, she starred for the Wildcats last year. And our next guest, the head coach at NDSCS of the women's basketball team, Park Masterson, is good enough to give us a few minutes here on this Tuesday. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. You guys, first off, congrats on a heck of a year. You guys were fun to watch this past year. I think every Bison fan that watches women's basketball is interested to know what kind of player are they getting in Grace.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me. Happy to always talk about the Wildcats and the wonderful student athletes that come through our program. Grace, yes, fantastic young woman, fantastic player. Her ceiling is so high. So I'm so excited, to see her continue to grow. We only got a taste of what she can do here, and we're extremely excited what she's going to do at the next level and do with the Bison. And what kind of player is she? High level, extremely athletic. I'm sure if you've watched any of our games, you can see that. Great rim finisher, very strong, has a touch of finesse to her game, lockdown defender, and is just continuing to add to all those skill sets and amp them up to the, D1 level.
She told me yesterday, Park, she loves to get to the basket, slash to the basket. Is that what kind of trait is that, and how unique is that at her size in the women's game?
Yeah, it's fantastic skill, and something that was really special for us to have. She's about 5'10", and I mentioned very strong. It's just hard to stop. I mean, it's hard to stop a strong, tall young woman with guard skills getting to the rim, and that works out really well for us to draw fouls, get baskets. And then, obviously everyone's extremely worried about that, about her, driving ability, which opens up more mid-range and jump shot action for her and everything. So no, extremely valuable skill set, and she definitely took advantage of it here for us.
Take me back. I visited with her yesterday about the recruiting process for yourself and former coach Adam Jacobson about going to visit her at Holy Angels. I know her high school career was interesting, that she didn't play high school basketball right away as a freshman, that she only got started in as a sophomore, and then obviously blew up and became a 1,000-point scorer at Holy Angels. When did you guys first get wind of this is a potential player we could have come to Wahpeton?
Yeah, so I actually watched her play in person last summer at one of the AAU tournaments in the Twin Cities. So I played college in the Twin Cities, college basketball, went to college in the Twin Cities. So I kind of scouted and took ownership of that area. Coach Jacobson's from North Dakota here, so he kind of was more familiar. So I would go back to the Twin Cities in the summer, do the recruiting there, make us our list. I saw her. I was extremely impressed by her. She was on a very good AAU team with a number of other young women who had already committed, I believe D1, D2. And I was like, why is this lady not signed? Where's she going? What's she doing? And it just went from there, reaching out to her, getting in contact, and, kind of finding this diamond in the rough or hidden gem, which is something we pride ourselves on here.
Tell me about, especially I visited with her yesterday, how unique this is in the junior college ranks as a coach for yourself, where you're not sure if you can play. Granted, you're now in the boat with like everybody else is in Division One, of you can't plan if you know if she's going to be back or if she's going to transfer to somewhere else. How is that you for juggling that, not knowing, okay, I don't know if we're going to have her next season or not?
Yeah. Yeah, as you mentioned, the transfer portal's definitely kind of mixed it up for everyone in that sense. But I would say it's part of the job at this level. So it's definitely something that I know, I accept, I understand. And then it's also definitely something that we incorporate into our recruiting and our roster building and everything. Because, coming in, Grace, we had another freshman, Sharita Lewis, Tiny Lewis from the Twin Cities, who is also moving on after her freshman year to Eastern Illinois. And we tell them, if you're a qualifier and you find the home you want to go to, the 4-year institution, we'll let you go. We're here to support you. We're here to advocate for you, and we're here for you to play great basketball, move on to play more great basketball, and go to a great school. So we kind of count that in. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it sad to see great players go? Absolutely. But it's really created a fun environment where, because of that success that they have here and at the next level, such as Yvonne from the Twin Cities last year, and Bacalcan from Australia last year, yes, we lose them, but we're also bringing in more high-level talent, with the same kind of goals mentality in mind too. So it's just a interesting facet of what we do. And yeah, our roster turns over, but it's part of the deal.
Give me a sense of when you thought you had a really special team last year. Was it early on, middle part of the season, late? When did you get, hey, we can be really, really good?
That's a good question. I think from the scrimmages, I could already tell that we had a lot of talent that I was really excited about. A lot of freshmen, predominantly a freshman based team. And so a lot of new faces, a lot of, new talent to work with. So from the very beginning, I was like, okay, we've got some skill here. We've got a lot of skill. What can we do with this? And then I think as we played in our preseason conference tournament, and we played Iowa Western, and we started to kind of roll into the season there. And I was like, yep, this is it. We've got something here, and we're starting to put it together. And I saw them overcome adversity. A team of 8. We had a lot of obstacles and adversity come our way, and that's when I think it really, we already knew they're good basketball players. That's why they're here. But to see them face adversity like that and overcome it and come together, that's when I was like, all right, this is a team that can take it somewhere really special.
All right, so now you have to describe what a trip is like from Wahpeton, North Dakota to Lubbock, Texas. What does that entail?
Yes. So last year we did it on a bus.
Yeah.
This year we did it on a plane.
Oh, so Jacobson leaves and you upscale? Is that it? You got to just get rid of the dead weight. Is that it?
No. I'd say a factor of only having 8. So it worked out to actually be cheaper. So not the goal in the future, of course, to have that few, but it was actually cheaper to buy plane tickets with only 8 than the bus was, for the 17-hour drive both directions. But what is it like? It's a long, daunting trip with the number of young women who you gotta, even though they're so smart and they're adults and everything, but you still gotta keep them in line, make sure everybody's got their sneakers on the plane, uniforms, but it's fun. They're a great group, so it's always fun. The details are the details, but we had a great time with the adventure of it all.
I mentioned this with Grace yesterday about coming from the Twin Cities and playing in front of, I know how much the community supports science basketball. Was that a surprise to you when you got there about, you see how big how cavernous the gym is there, but you guys always get great support locally for people to come out to watch the games?
Surprise? No. Knowing the history of success at NDSCS and in both of our basketball programs, and obviously all of our athletic programs, and being, over 100 years old, second oldest public junior college in the country, we have just a lot of support and a wonderful community. It's one of my favorite things, and something that I, share with all of our recruits, how supportive and tight knit this community is. And it's something we love so much. So the first year I came here was COVID, so we had no fans actually. So in that sense, it's very different. But no, the thing that touched me the most, I think, is the number of people who drove to Texas. I think we had the largest contingency of fans in Texas, even though half the teams there are from Texas. Our families drove down. Everyone's showing up. Our president was there, which was amazing and so fantastic. And so that, I think, was the most surprising, that they all came, in droves, and that they had watch parties in, all the towns around here and whatnot. So that was wonderful. I would like to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting us all season, from, near and far. It really does mean a lot.
Lastly, I have to ask you this, because prior to you coming to Wahpeton, you were working in San Diego. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so that is that about A to Z? You go from San Diego, California to Wahpeton, North Dakota?
Little bit, yeah. So, yeah, I'm a San Diego native, actually. I'm from Poway, California, but I went to McAllister to play and go to school. And then after graduation, I had a job lined up in San Diego, so went back there. And then my fiance and I, he's from Woodbury, so we found our way back. But no, definitely A to Z. I will tell you, I only owned one pair of jeans and a pullover hoodie before coming to Minnesota. Yes. I learned my lesson very, very quickly that you cannot wear Toms in the snow. That's figured that out pretty fast. But no, it's what we tell our kids, right? It's definitely a departure from what a lot of us are used to. But you come here for the basketball, you come here for the education, you come here for the community. There's so much to offer. It's a really hard opportunity to pass up.
I really appreciate the time. Congratulations on a great year. Hopefully you're getting a little time to relax. I know for basketball coaches, there really is no time to do that. Appreciate the insight. We'll talk again down the road, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the time. Park Masterson is joining us, NDSCS women's basketball head coach on Grace Massaquoi. He'll be joining the NDSU women's basketball team for this upcoming season. We're overdue for our final break. We'll take one now. We come back. We'll wrap up the show. Get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday, including with the Twins back in action tonight. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps right after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and Inforum.com. wrapping up our show. Tomorrow, Dick Bramer will be back with us, voice of the Twins, as they get set to open up a stretch here against some National League teams. The Padres are coming in tonight, so don't forget he'll join us tomorrow. Also, NDSU track head coach Stevie Keller will join us to preview the Summit League Track Championships, which will be live on Inforum.com beginning on Thursday. We'll have coverage of all the events, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday up from NDSU. So looking forward to that. Stevie will join us tomorrow. Of course, the Bison have just been dominant, both in the indoor and outdoor. The women have just ripped off title after title, and they're the favorites again to do that. So that's coming up tomorrow on the show. Looking forward to that. In case you missed it earlier, NDSU has announced that they have scheduled a home-and-home series with the Citadel based out of Charleston, South Carolina. The Bison will go there to open up the 2025 season. So NDSU will play 2 road games to start 2025, much like they did in 2014 to open up. They opened at Iowa State that year and then Weber State, Chris Klieman's first year as head coach. They're going to do that again in 2025. The Bulldogs will then come to Fargo in 2027. These are the first matchups in school history for these 2 programs, and marks now 4 trips to the southeast for the Bison over the next couple of years, starting next season with trips to Johnson City, Tennessee, and Murray, Kentucky. That'll be followed up the following year with Charleston, South Carolina, and Nashville, Tennessee. So I know there are swaths of Bison fans, particularly I hear from all the time in South Carolina and in Tennessee. They are, I think, pretty excited the fact the Bison are going to come in their neck of the woods starting in 2025. So we'll dive into this probably a little bit more tomorrow. And if I have time, maybe put something up on Inforum.com now that the non-conference is starting to come into form. Also, just so people know, we got to get to what to watch here. The Valley schedules, I anticipate coming out sometime over the next few weeks for 2025 and beyond, with the caveat that they're going to break up the schedule how it is like this year, where the Bison are going to UND and SDSU. That won't happen starting in 25. So we could have potentially, let's say next year, NDSU is hosting SDSU and UND. One of those 2 teams, the Bison could host consecutive years. I don't think the Jackrabbits want that on the schedule. I don't think UND wants it either, but they're going to break it up so that in those years, NDSU would go to Brookings and then host UND. And that's better for everybody. And they're going to do that, and hopefully we'll get that revealed. I know it's done. I've not been told it yet, but when we can, we'll share that as soon as we can. Let's get you ready for what to watch before we got out of here. We mentioned Twins in action tonight against the Padres, 6:30 on Bally Sports North. It'll be Louis Varland going for the Twins against Michael Wacha, former Cardinal great for the Padres. San Diego's good, folks. I mean, if you don't watch baseball a whole lot, the Padres are worth your time. From Soto to Manny Machado to Fernando Tatis, they have a lineup that is worth checking out. That'll be a tough stretch for Varland tonight. 6:30 on Bally Sports North. Game 4, Western Conference semifinals, Stars and the Kraken, 8:30 on ESPN. Seattle leads the series 2-1, trying to go up 3-1 on the Dallas Stars to get that even closer to the Western Conference finals. Last night we saw Vegas rout Edmonton, so the Golden Knights lead that series now 2-1 after their win last night. And it is college softball tournament championship week, and it begins tonight on the SEC network with Missouri and Mississippi State. The Bison beat Mississippi State earlier this season. 7:30 tonight on the SEC network. I cannot encourage it enough. I know we got a bunch of stuff going on television, right? You got Twins, you got the playoffs going in the NHL and the NBA. Find some time, especially to watch that SEC softball tournament. It is elite level stuff. We got to go. Thanks to our guests today, to Mike McFeely, Darrius Shepherd, and Park Masterson. If you missed any of our program, podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Have a great Tuesday. Get out there and enjoy the weather. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, at Inforum.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
care about this woman, you're gonna have to put yourself out there.
Leslie, stay right there. I'm calling the police.
Hey, this is about the money? It's about her being a liar and stepping on you.
I'd like to ask for your sister's hand in marriage.
Are you ready for your test?
Yes, sir.
Go.